Hello guys, in this video I'm going to talk about it's really blatant right now. I mean, if you see on TV the narratives being driven, they're coming after your kids, all right? From social media, all right, TV, publications, movies, music. They're blatantly coming after your kids, right? Because what a kid define as a generation, right? Meaning that a kid will determine the next generation. By them coming after your kids, they're controlling the next generation. By them influencing your kid, they're controlling the next generation. By them manipulating the kids, they determine the next generation. They determine the next policy being driven. Because some of these kids might be in this position of leadership in the future. Some of these kids, right, might have the ability to direct social structures in the future. When you manipulate a kid, right, when you manipulate a kid at that age and young age, it's harder to revert them back to normalcy. This is why they want to manipulate them as a child, because it's harder to change their mind, right? They grind them in the kid, grind them. There's all these perverted thoughts, all these graphic images, all these images that doesn't seem right, all these violation. They get them when they're young, because they know what they're doing. It's ideological subversion, right? That's why you see all this thing happen right now, right? All these feminism, all these all these transgender, all this stuff. It happens from the previous generations. Ideological subversions, right? And now, we didn't know that back then because they subtly introduced it when we wasn't paying attention, right? They suddenly introduced it small amounts, right? But as year progresses, it got blatant. It's obvious. For people who's not asleep, for people who's not awake, you could obviously see this, what's going on right now. Like I said before, it's in media, music, TV, right? It's in kid shows, Nickelodeon, Disney channels, right? Cartoon Network, all these kid shows. There's nothing but this agenda-driven thing, right? Not only that, PBS as well, state-funded PBS, it's been pushed blatantly. And the people who are not asleep notice this. The people who are asleep, they don't notice this. They think it's normalcy right now. Because they hadn't been red pilled. They haven't been exposed to all this kind of stuff yet. They're coming after your kids. What's gonna happen, right? They can push all these narrative on these kids, say like gun is the issue, right? They can push these kids to be these MK Ultra patsies. That's what it is. Before MK Ultra, it was a small group of people, right? Being manipulated, being brainwashed, being abused. Not a mass scale. MK Ultra is in a mass scale right now. It's widespread of brain manipulations, psychological operations, sociological operations, social engineering. That's what they're doing. They're social engineering from the kids. Starting from the kids. And people are not realizing this. They just play along, thinking it's part of the program. Yeah, it's part of the program. It's part of the programming society. Social engineering society. That's what they're doing. They're going to put all these bad ideas in these kids' mind, saying our Second Amendment right is bad for them. They see they're in position of power, and they're going to take away your rights away from you. Right? They're pushing this idea of this mass I don't want to say shootings, right? In these educational institutions, in schools, scaring the kids when they were young, and then they can brainwash the kids at that young age, saying our Second Amendment is a bad thing, and what you know, these kids can grow up, they can grow up to take our rights away from us. That's what they're doing. That's just part of the plan right now. It's part of the plan to make the society weak. vulnerable, dependent on the government. That's what they're doing. When you expose kids to this kind of psychological insanity, they're gonna grow up weak. First, they take God out of schools, right? They take God out of schools. Then they take the Pledge of Allegiance out of schools. Now they're putting all these trans things in our schools now. Only make them even weaker. Feeding them poor quality food. You don't know what's in this food that they're feeding the kids. Estrogen mimickers, all these chemicals to weak them, cause all these chemical imbalance in the kid's brain. Tell them they're weak, make them victims, right? Making them victims, prey upon them, cause all these psychological operations in school system, all these mass, shootings, is in our education institutions, right? And manipulate them, tell them our Second Amendment is bad. It's all planned. It's a plan to damage the society of America. It's a plan to take our rights away from us. That's basically the main plan right now. To dictate how society is going, to take our rights away. This next generations, if we're not prepared, if you're a parent, I would strongly advise to get your kids off of these media platforms. Stop giving them iPads. Stop giving them the phone. Stop letting them watch TV. Stop video games. Stop all this stuff. All this stuff is introducing the kids to all these toxic mentality right now. All this weak mentality. It's all planned from the beginning. From the food, from the media. It's all influencing the kid. It's all influencing the next generation. Our freedom is only one generation away, and that's what they're doing. They're acting the kids. They're straight up acting the kids right now. They're getting your kids. You need to be more vigilant than ever. Be more protective of your kids more than ever. Get them out of this public school system. Get them off of these fast food, snacks, and all this stuff. When I was growing up, we didn't used to have all this kind of food. My mom feed us food made from scratch. Our dinner was made from scratch. We never have high processed food. This is why I didn't turn up to be the way most people will grow up right now. It's all in the food as well. All these estrogen mimickers. That's why you see a lot of kids, mainly kids in inner city that have parents that don't know how to cook well. They don't know how to cook from scratches, that feed them junk food all the time. They get an influx of estrogen in their food. That's why there's a lot of the Hispanic community. There's a lot of these transgender, the African American community. There's a lot of these transgender. There's a lot of overweight in these communities. These disenfranchised communities. That's why they're so abundant in these low income communities. Why do you think that? You have to connect the dots here. Asian people, we feed our kids home cooked meals. We try not to feed them as much as the junk food as possible. We like to feed vegetables and all this stuff. That's why most Asians don't come out like this. But you see a lot of this trait in inner city communities that have a lot of Hispanic backgrounds and African American backgrounds. There's a lot of them that comes out like this. There's a lot of them that comes out, with this kind of mindset. Because of the educational system, the food they've been eating, the degradation of morality. You don't see this in Indian family. Indian family, they make their food from scratch. They have a lot of ingredients in Indian families. You went to an Indian restaurant, you know how many ingredients is in one recipe? Not just Indian, I'm sure other culture as well. Right? But all this stuff usually comes from inner city community. They get to the kids. It's the kids they get to. The kids can determine the next future of the generations. And they ran out of patience, right? They subtly put it in TV subtly. People we wasn't aware of that. But 10, 20 years ago, we wasn't aware of that. Now it's coming to fruition right now. Right? The next 10 years, there's gonna be an influx of all these trans kids come out of nowhere. If you're not prepared right now, be prepared for this. If you're a parent who are open to this kind of, who are awake to these kind of things, protect your kids and by any means, protect your kids. They're coming after your kids, basically. They said it. It's in the Washington made a law, right? I think it's Washington State made a law that kids could get reassignment surgery without the parent authorizations. And it applied to kids out of state as well. They're gonna pay for it. They're gonna make the taxpayer pay for it. So they're basically putting in legislative already, and these kids that grew up with these ideology, they can determine the next policy in the next years, in the future. Why do you think 20 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, there was a lot of Republican, right? There was a lot, the most of the state are mainly conservative. California was conservative 30 years ago, 34 years ago. California was conservative. Now suddenly is a majority Democratic. You see the pattern here? You got to connect the dots from somewhere. Now, Texas is turning purple. Arizona is turning blue. New Mexico is blue. The West Coast is all blue. And it's all eating itself into a blue country right now. And we must protect the kids. The kids are our future. Like Whitney Houston said, I believe the children are our future. You know, I don't sing the song and get copyright. You know? They're the future. And they realize this. That's why they get into the kids. They've been indoctrinating kids ever since they were young. And people are not aware of this. People need to wake up, guys. Wake up. They get into your kids. Because the reason why I'm so adamant about this, because if they get into the kids and the kids determine the law of the future, my rights are being affected by it. Not just my right, your rights are being affected by it too. They're gonna write, you think they're crazy right now? They can write all these crazy laws when they get older. These indoctrinated kids that think that they're a man or woman, there's no boundary. There's no such thing as man or woman. What's that congressman from New York, Hakeem Jeffrey, already said there's no such thing as man sport or women's sport, whatever he said. Right? He said that. They're getting your kids big time. You need to be aware. They're making them weak on purpose. This is weak. This is mental illness. This transgenderism thingy is mental illness. They needed help. They got rid of the psychological ward. Next thing you know, they're blasting all the schools, and then they're making them afraid of our Second Amendment rights, and then they're gonna take our rights from us. That's their ultimate goal, taking their rights away from us, right? By making them weak like that, they can procreate. Now, generations are dying off. Because of this, what's happening right now, people right now, guys my age, we're afraid to have kids because we don't want to bring our kids to this insanity right now. That's why the birth rate are diminishing. At the end of the day, you gotta say that they really getting your kids. You need to protect your kids at all costs. Take them out of your school system. Ever since the establishment of the Department of Education by Jimmy Carter, kids are destroyed. They can't read at the grade level. Chicago, Baltimore, LA, kids are failing left to right. They don't know how to read at all. They don't know how to write. They don't know math. They're destroying the kids right now. There's no value in this institution anymore. There's no value in colleges. There's no value in schools. From the mainstream media, cable TV, news publications, music, entertainment, movies, Nickelodeon, it's all programming. It's a psychological operation they're doing right now. They're destroying the mind of our youth. If we are not aware of this right now, if people are not aware, please share this video and get people to know and realize what are they doing to our kids, right? The more people know, the more they're exposed to their program, their plan. This is their plan. Their plan is to destroy this country. And people are not aware of that. Why do you think Bud Light are doing all these crazy things? This Dylan Mulvaney, he's mainly appealed to 13-year-old girls. Or children, basically. Children subscribe to him. I think they allow TikTok here. Kids are influenced by these TikTok apps. Their mind are so shot that their attention span are lowered. Right? That's why they have this 30-second video, 1-minute video, because their attention span are so lowered. Right? That's why they can't learn anything from school, because their attention span are so lowered. That's why they can't read, do math. That's why the test score are diminishing. I'm just repeating myself at this point, but people need to realize that they're getting your kids right now, and you don't even understand that. The government is not your friend. They're destroying society right now. But yeah, let me know if you agree. Like, share, and subscribe, because we gotta. As soon as we get as much people on board and know the plan, the sooner we could stop it. Because if we don't stop it, your right, my right are gonna be taken away. Our First Amendment can be taken away. Our Second Amendment can be taken away, which is the most important one. Our first and second, the two important one, and the rest of them will be important as well too. If we don't start right now, awareing the people right now, make people listen, because there's a lot of sheep out there who still are not awake. There's a lot of liberals right now, right? And we need to wake people up and stop this agenda from happening right now. This is a clear agenda being happened to destroy society as we know it. They destroyed the family. Now they're destroying the society. But let me know if you agree. Like, share, and subscribe. On that note, guys, you guys have a good day. Expose their plan. Expose their agenda. Peace.